You're listening to the Crew Talk Podcast, a conversation about chasing growth.
All right, y'all. Welcome back to the welcome back to the Crew Talk Podcast. We don't know what episode it is, but y'all just keep vibing.
Just keep watching.
So, as y'all can see, we have a familiar guest, but new to this series of Crew Talk. My little sister, itty bitty little sister, Payton.
Not even that much younger.
That's how y'all interact, man.
So, I mean, y'all know Payton. For our SU new followers who don't know, you just introduce yourself a little bit, give them a little panache.
Well, my name is Payton. We are 3 years apart, so not that little. But, yeah, so I've been living back home in New Orleans. I'm applying to med school right now. So it's interesting to be on the SGU version of Crew Talk now that I'm applying to medical school. I feel like one of the last conversations we had was about, like, anticipation for careers and stuff.
Okay.
So now that I'm actually, like, starting the application process,
Right.
it's weird to, like, report back from a different phase.
Mhm.
Oh, like a little metamorphosis.
Oh,
Yeah.
like a cocoon. she's like
Waking up.
Oh my
Yeah.
god!
Ready to spread my wings.
I love that.
So, I mean, perfect segue into the conversation. You're a med school applicant.
Mm-hmm.
Medicine is a commitment.
It's a lifelong commitment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What are your hopes and concerns before you actually see what it's like?
I think one of my biggest hopes, just having been to like a undergrad university that was like really big, and I've done like pre-med classes with big lecture halls,
Okay.
and then starting to have smaller classes where you can have more one-on-one interactions with like your professors and stuff like that.
Okay.
I think that's something that like I'm hoping, even if it is a big class,
We'll address that.
Yeah.
still being able to like have intimate settings. I feel like that's how I learn better.
Okay.
And then, other concerns, I guess I would say. I know we kind of touched on this, like, and we talked about it in previous conversations too. Kind of like balancing, like, pursuing your career, but also like life things. So, like, we love traveling and stuff.
Okay.
And I know, like, once I get into medical school, like, that's gonna have to take a back burner for a little bit.
For sure.
So, like, the gap years that I've been taking, I've been filling that with traveling.
Okay.
So it's cool to be traveling to Grenada because that's one of my trips that I've been taking.
Right.
So concerns with like being able to balance like personal things with also pursuing my career, because I know once you start to have too much on your plate, like it gets exhausting and stuff like that. So just balancing all of that.
Okay.
So I guess the hopes for
Yeah, I feel like because I guess where are you applying? Like SU also, or like where are you
I am gonna apply to SGU.
Okay.
As far as like a broad list,
Yeah.
I don't know yet. I've been starting to look at like states that I want to live in and narrowing it down that way.
Okay.
So I don't really have a set list yet.
Right, because SGU is a huge school,
yeah,
so our lectures are like hundreds of people.
yeah.
So in terms of the
One-on-one interaction.
one-on-one intimacy learning, I don't know if that would happen at SGU, right? Because our lectures.
I also feel as though for most med schools, a lot of I feel like all med schools record their lectures.
Right.
And if you're an in-person learner, you go, and if not, you just watch it at home.
Right.
But for the most part, I don't think professors really like interact one-on-one outside of like office hours.
Unless you seek out the opportunity yourself.
Yeah.
So that's on the student. I guess like it goes down to during the lecture, you might not have what you're looking for. But if you like email them and you want to set up some research, you want to talk to them.
Yeah, it's not going to be.
Yeah, if they won't reach out to you.
It's not part of the curriculum where you're going to have one-on-one time.
Right.
It's going to be more so like extra effort to get that. But they do have small groups.
I was gonna say small groups. That's what we didn't have. Well, I didn't have it in college.
So it wasn't called a small group; it was called a section, and it wasn't. You had a section for every like. I don't know,
It's like a tutorial.
Recitations. We had recitations in undergrad, so we had like a lecture class.
Okay.
And then it would like break up into smaller sections.
How
so,
small?
Maybe like 20 to 30 students.
Okay.
So mine was even smaller. Mine was like 8 to 12.
So like this.
It was
Small
literally a
group
small
here.
group, but it was like, so if you had a class that met 3 times a week or twice a week, you would have one section. But if you had a class that only met once a week, you wouldn't have section for it.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It just depends on the teaching style of the class.
And the subject also.
And like the people who taught I guess it was facilitators, but
Right.
like our facilitators at SU are doctors. The facilitators that were in the sections were like PhD.
Yeah, they're more like what they call TAs.
Yeah,
Oh,
TAs,
yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, our facilitators are
actual
doctors.
doctors.
Yeah. So
Oh,
in terms of what you said, like smaller group learning, that's where
You
you'll
would
get
from
it,
there.
not from the lectures.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah, I feel like just in medical school generally, if that applies. I have a feeling.
I guess it depends on what the curriculum of the small group is, because like our small group is like there's an assignment, so it's not like you can just go in there and like free ball questions.
No.
So it's like the assignment has something to do with what you're learning,
Yeah.
but we learn so much that it's like usually just a specific section.
Oh, okay. That's how my recitations were.
Yeah,
Okay.
Oh, okay. That's cool.
Well, that's in terms of the whole part.
yeah.
Mhm.
For the, I guess the concern. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
that's a valid concern. Like I feel like using your gap year to like relax and enjoy all that stuff. I feel like that's what most people do,
Mm-hmm.
unless they need specific things to add to their resume.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I think you're approaching it the right way.
Mm-hmm.
That's good. Because I know, like, a lot of physicians or people in the field that I'm looking to go into, you talk to them and they're like, oh, like, it's a long journey. Are you ready to commit that much of your time? And I'm like, well, the flip side to that is you meet other providers who are like, yeah, those 12 years are still going to pass by. So it's just,
Right.
what do you want to spend those years doing?
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's a really good perspective that I like to hear, because there's a lot of people in the profession that I talk to who don't give really positive feedback about working.
They're almost trying to scare you away.
Yeah.
Like, why? Okay, I get it's a tough role, but why? You're not encouraging me.
It's like, why are you
Exactly.
Yeah.
Shouldn't you be like, oh my god, like, oh, I know it's tough, like,
Right.
no, like it's amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, we went on a trip and we met this orthopedic surgeon, and he
Okay.
was like, yeah, I just retired. Like, it was getting hard fighting with insurance companies, and you couldn't vouch for your patients as much as you want to, and it's just so hard because it works
Right.
so much like a system, and you have to follow the boss. Like, you're not the
Yeah.
boss even if you have your own practice.
Okay.
There's still other people you have to answer to, like insurance companies and stuff like that.
But he was like saying negative stuff mostly.
Yeah.
You know what I think it is? I think it's like kind of like professional sports, like
Uh-huh.
little league, high school, college. It's pure joy. But
Okay.
once like you get into it and like there's like salaries involved, there's
Mhm.
like boards, or
Yeah.
like,
Okay.
there's like a hierarchy.
Mhm.
Small things start to chip away at the joy that you have for the career.
Interesting.
So like all these people who
Mhm.
got like this negative advice from
Mhm.
have probably had so much built up that's kind of taking their love away from them.
So I wonder if that's gonna happen with us because we're not in the field yet, you know.
Yeah,
Right.
So that's a concern that we have also, I guess.
yeah. I mean,
Damn.
you hate to say it's like it's inevitable, but
Mhm.
you don't. I doubt those people went into medicine being like, I don't know if I want to do this because these people have been established already. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like, they had to have something driving them to get to where they are.
Mhm.
So
Yeah, with that point, I think it's interesting because I also think, like, what makes you want to go into medicine also affects that. So, like, depending on how passionate you are, or like
Right.
if you're only going into medicine because, like, oh, everyone in your family's a doctor, so you feel like you have to go down that road, it would
Okay.
chip away at you probably a lot quicker.
Yeah, I see.
Yeah.
So I guess the audience knows why we chose it. You want to quickly just tell the audience like
Oh.
what's your reason
Well,
following Big Brother?
where does it even start? I've always liked science. I feel like that's
Okay.
that's pretty much everyone's like
I get
baseline
it.
thing.
I get it.
But once I started at I went to the University of Pittsburgh. So once I
Mhm.
started at Pitt, I came in as a biology major.
Okay.
And then I was like, I want to look at something different. They offered a major as emergency medicine. So I looked into that,
Wait, what?
thought about doing that in the School of Health and Rehabilitation Sciences, which one of my best friends actually majored in that school.
That's weird.
Yeah, so I started looking at that. I was like, oh, this is cool. Then I started doing like rehab science. I was like, maybe I want to do this. But like at the end of it, I stuck with biology just because
Okay.
once I got into like my upper level classes and it was
Right.
a lot more like fine-tuned
Okay.
subjects, I was like, oh, this is cool. And I like how broad medicine is. Like
Right.
there's so many different specialties that you can
So
pick
many.
from.
Yeah.
And so like once I looked at all of the different
Mhm.
science-related careers, I like medicine because of its patient care.
Patient care.
So it's like you still get to go into science, use like science-based knowledge, but you get to interact with patients, you get to do preventative care,
Mhm.
also like managing conditions. And so I think there's so many different aspects to it, and it's one of those fields that's like always changing. Always changing, like you're always going to be seeing different things.
Okay.
So kind of going into a field where I have the opportunity to learn different fields, because once you're doing rotations, like you're going through each of the departments.
Right.
Yeah.
And so you get to experience it all, and then in the end you get to make your decision.
Okay.
So I like having the freedom to like go into one field,
Right.
but still experience different things along the way.
I see what you're saying.
As opposed to like if I went into engineering.
I was just gonna say engineering. You're engineers.
Yes. If I want to be a teacher, I'm a teacher.
Right.
And usually they stick to like one subject, unless you're teaching like younger kids. Then you're doing like them all. I like that I can do different things.
Yeah, it's
and
like you chose. Yeah, you chose medicine, but you haven't chosen what yet.
Yeah.
I get that.
And I also like it's kind of weird, but I like the uncertainty of it. Because it's like once you apply to medical school, you figure out where you want to go for medical school. Then you apply to residency, and that can put you anywhere else. And then
you enjoy that.
Yes, because I feel like we've always moved around.
Right.
The way I chose my undergrad university, I kind of just like picked. I applied to a bunch of different places, looked at obviously like financial aid, like who was offering me the most scholarships, things like that. What majors did they offer, and then I looked at like the area and stuff like that.
It's very much like like I know what I want to do, but I don't know where it's going to take me.
Yes.
Yo, I can so relate to that.
And I like that.
Yeah, I can very much, because I moved to Canada when I was like 14, moved to Windsor, and then Montreal, and then Grenada. I'm all over the place.
Exactly.
Yeah, I haven't been like.
And you still don't know where you're going to go.
I don't know where I'm going to go.
Exactly.
For clinicals, and then residency.
Exactly.
And then like attending. I literally don't know how
and then if you do a fellowship, like that can bring you somewhere else.
Yeah.
So I like having the freedom to like not only see different specialties, but be in different places.
Yeah.
Because like y'all are in Grenada, that's a whole different community than what's in the United States.
Oh, for real.
So it's like you get to experience different communities of people with working with the patient care and stuff. So I like how like diverse the field is.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I guess broadening the spectrum outside of medicine, as we said, medicine is a commitment.
Yeah.
Like, even though we're saying that we're only students,
True.
It's a very real thing.
We're committing right now.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
What is it like, I guess, outside of like career thinking, like being in like this gap period, like this is the last free time you'll have as like Payton, and then after the gap year is over, it's like I'm Payton, the med student.
You're MS.
Yeah. Like right now, anything can go. You know what I'm saying? You're not committed to anything.
So like, what's it like to have the free time?
Not necessarily what's it like, but like it's like, what's the thought process? Like, I know what it's like to have the free time.
Like this freedom is about to. I don't want to scare you like the orthopedic surgeon did, but it's about to end.
Yeah.
Right.
It's like, how are you?
Well, that's the thinking. I feel like I have to fit as much things that I won't be able to do with like combined restrictions in these 2 years, and that's kind of overwhelming.
Okay.
Because like wanting to travel, it's like, okay, I have to travel now. Then I might be able to travel here and there for like 12 years.
Yeah.
And then after that, I'm gonna be in the field, so like I won't have as much free time.
That's the thing.
So kind of like fitting everything I want to do like right now, like going visit friends. I want to be able to like book a flight and go somewhere, you know?
Right.
So just making sure that I'm taking the time now and kind of like mentally preparing myself, like making sure that obviously I know this is something that I want to do,
right?
But thinking about all the things that are going to change, like the work-life balance, how I'm going to be married to medicine, but then I'm also going to think about like having a family, things like that. And really planning. I feel like once you make the decision that you want to go to med school, you're like mentally planning all the way from when you start.
But it's like you're planning around that decision.
Yes.
Instead of like you're planning around your love for traveling. You know what I mean?
Right.
I guess people could make that choice. Like, okay, I love traveling. I want that to be my core. So let's say I do other, like I pick up some freelancing jobs or something. I don't know what they call it.
Yeah,
but essentially they're revolving around their love of traveling. But what we did was we put medicine at the core and everything surrounds that.
Right.
So essentially you made that decision already and you're getting ready for that.
Which is interesting because it's like before you even start med school, you're making the commitment that like everything around this is going to revolve around my job, and then your job becomes still about your patients.
Right.
So it's like from this point on, it's not really about you.
No, it's really not about.
It's like the ultimate service job.
Yeah.
Yeah. Besides, I guess being in the military. So do you have any other friends who are pursuing medicine?
I do. I have a couple of friends that are pursuing medicine.
Tell them to freaking listen to this.
Yeah.
Hey,
let's join the conversation.
Which, like, that's conversations we've had before about, like, preparing to take all these years for med school and, like, making sure that this is something that we want to do. So it's definitely a conversation that's, like, been privy to in the past.
Okay.
So
where are they at in their stages?
Of decision making?
Yeah, like, are they about to applying?
Like, how committed?
Yeah.
I have one friend who's studying for the MCAT. I have one friend who took the MCAT during undergrad.
Okay.
And she's doing either a postbac or a master's. She's doing one of those programs in Philly. And then I have other friends who are going into other fields of medicine, doing like physical therapy, things like that.
Okay, got you.
My other friend, she majored in health information management, so she's looking at doing things associated with that. So as far as, I think I might be the only one applying to med school this application cycle.
Okay.
Yeah. Actually started working on my application a couple of days ago.
Love that. Never too late.
Never too late. So it's safe to say that you're the only one who is taking a gap year right now, though. Is anyone else doing that?
A gap year as far as not doing anything? Yeah, because like I spent this year just studying and doing what I wanted to. I know a lot of my friends, they started working, and like one of my friends, she's in like a research position, and then the other one, she's doing the program. So as far as like devoting time strictly to like my free time, I was the only one that did that. Yeah.
So how? I know for me, oh my, that was wow.
Proceed.
During my gap year, I was still doing football, so I never really had like a gap year where I sat there and did nothing.
Okay.
What is it like? I guess dynamic wise, like looking at your peers making progress in their careers while you're just kind of like in the limbo period.
It's interesting because I feel like we're doing different modes of progression.
Okay.
So like I'm progressing in that like I'm, I guess, preparing my mental. Like I'm taking the time for me. You know, I'm using the time for me. I also recently started working as a medical scribe. So like now I'm kind of like transitioning into the
that is a good experience
career progression to getting into medical school and stuff. So I think that as far as like having done it and taking that time for me, I'm really glad that I didn't just graduate and start working, because I know for me, once I graduated, like I was burnt out. I was tired. Like college was hard. People don't really talk about how hard college is. They be like, oh, but like you can get through it. No, college is hard. Especially being a pre-med major. So taking that time just to like focus on what I want to do and just get a breath of fresh air. And now I'm starting to like transition into a job that's in the healthcare field, and then I'll be applying to medical school and actually learning the material. So it was interesting, but I do think that obviously there's more benefits to having like started a job and progressing into your career sooner with like application wise, which is another concern I guess that we could just transition into. Is like they say it's a holistic review, but at the end of the day, you're still applying against other applicants.
True.
So that's always been really interesting to me. But I think that because like I'm doing it a little less traditionally, you know, people are taking more gap years now instead of just going straight through. Well, I've done I'm doing 2 gap years, and I spent 1 year just like chilling, and then now I'm starting to work, and then the next year I'll be working, doing like interviews and stuff like that. So I kind of feel like I got the benefit of both worlds. Now I'll be working, but I also was able to like utilize free time.
You relaxed, but now you're back. You kind of
She's back and she's better.
I'm back and I'm better.
But in terms of what the gap year, I guess they look at what you did. So you said you're starting to work for this as a scribe. Which is what they see, which is a good thing. Isn't it? Like if you were to take like the 2 years just doing nothing, that might not look as good.
Absolutely. And like I've done some shadowing here and there, which was a lot harder given like COVID and everything. So I've actually done virtual shadowing, which was really cool.
I feel like that's something as a highlight.
I feel like you also have to like, for people who took gap years or are applying during the COVID period, it's like they had 2 whole years where they actually couldn't get any hands-on medical experience. You know what I'm saying? So like that has to be factored in. But I mean, all you can do in the application process is do as much as you can to get the scores and the grades you want. Sell yourself the best way possible, and it's out of your hands.
Yeah.
You really
That's
can't
true.
do anything else.
Yeah.
Just buff up the resume,
Yeah.
the scores, and
Yes.
then just
At that point, it's like, do they want me or do they not?
Yeah.
And I think that's why I don't spend as much time focusing on the concerns, because like obviously there's so many applicants, and like if you spend the time really thinking about like oh, like am I good enough, it's your application might not even be good enough because of that. Like you're almost like you're holding yourself back mentally.
Right.
So I feel like I've done everything I could. Like I did the best I could in undergrad, did the best I could with studying for the MCAT and stuff like that. So just like what you said, selling myself and hopefully having great references, things like that.
Right.
I think that as long as I'm just going into it like, look, this is me as an applicant. I'm putting my best foot forward. This is why I want to go into this field.
Yeah.
Either you want me or you don't. You know? And everything always works out the way it's supposed to. So I'm confident that wherever I end up, that's where I was supposed to go. Just like y'all are here, everything works out.
Everything works out.
Yeah.
So this is a new little segment we like to add. So Vibes Krewe is about chasing growth. What are you doing to chase growth? Either like spiritually, emotionally, mentally, physically, career-wise, like something that sticks out to you in your personal journey.
Chasing growth. I think I would say like I reflect on what I'm doing a lot. Like because I have so many goals and things that I want to get to. Like what am I doing right now that can work towards that?
Right.
But at the same time, not pressuring myself. I think that's kind of like one of the growth switches that I've had before I put a lot of pressure on myself to like do everything perfectly. Or like I have to do this, and sometimes comparing myself to other people. But now I feel like I'm just riding my own wave.
Oh, surfer.
You like that? You like that one?
Oh,
Surfer.
the audio one's gonna miss this performance. Right away. Yo. Okay.
Oh, we're clipping that. I'm so sorry.
Why?
I like that when you do that. But yeah, I think just making sure that I'm focusing on myself and like what I can contribute and how I can be better, like just reflecting. That's always been good, and not putting so much pressure on myself. I know a lot of people talk about like, oh, social media is so negative because you're comparing yourself to other people. It's really just a perspective thing, because like I enjoy scrolling through Instagram. I like seeing what other people are doing. Like I have friends who are like getting engaged, like they're buying houses, and I don't feel pressured because I'm not doing that.
No.
I love seeing that because it's like good for you.
Yeah, it's like okay, we're different. That's your choice. Good for you. I'm doing a different thing.
And it's almost like I take their motivation for what they did and turn it into my motivation for what I'm doing.
Instead of like, oh, should I be getting married? Like,
exactly. Should I be buying a house right now?
Right. I think social media is like, it's a tool. So like social media and a hammer. It was created for good. Hammer was created to build things. But like, if the wrong person is using it, it can be used to hurt someone.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Like you're supposed to hit the nail, but some people just go and hit a head.
Yeah.
That's a harm, but like...
that was a bar, right?
I like that.
I like that. Was a good one. I'm really spitting on this.
But I feel like all of our conversations like stem around medicine, but I feel like we always spin the conversation to where like it's applicable to other people.
Yeah.
So like there are other people who are making decisions about what career they want to go into, or they're in a limbo period where they don't know what to do. But like looking back, reflecting on like what you doing to get to those steps, not comparing yourself to others, and just like overall just like growing like as a person. Just,
I like that. Yeah.
Learning from other people. I feel like that's how people would something that people can take from this conversation.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not. Yeah, like you said, we talk about medicine, but like, and again, I don't want to. I hate seeing like, oh, like who are you to tell me? We're not trying to tell you what to do. It's like this is what happened to us. You know, listen to it. Like, take something from it if there's something you want to take from it. But like, here's the story of us. Extrapolate it however you want.
Yeah,
I like that.
I feel like I think I'm pretty relatable. I think we're all pretty relatable,
right?
Especially the people we've had on here. So like, just a couple of relatable guys and gals talking about experiences.
Spin some fire.
Yes, a little bit of fire.
Some waves.
Yeah, right.
Some ride the wave.
Some hammer.
Chasing growth.
That's crazy.
But Payton, we really appreciate you taking your
no problem. I'm glad to be back.
What a conversation.
What a conversation. Take us out.
Yeah, just like always, tell your friends to listen because they're in the contemplative phase. Join the conversation, watch the podcast, and share it with their family. So everyone can join the conversation.
Everyone.
Everybody. You. You listen to the
You
podcast.
join the podcast.
You get a podcast. Hi.
All right,
I'll see you guys later.
We'll catch y'all next one.
Peace.
Peace.